Kevin Green is with me. We're seeing a big sell-off in gold today, down $86. Stocks are higher, somewhat of a risk on this morning ahead of the big inflation print and more news, lots of geopolitical news. What are you watching? Good morning, Kevin Green.
Good morning, Nicole. Yeah, obviously, looking at the 6,400 level on the S&P 500, that's going to be a key area of resistance here over the next couple of days. But if we do have a decent inflationary print, especially for CPI tomorrow, that could give us enough of a catalyst to try to break that level and try to get to a new all-time highs here. If you're looking at the S&P 500, you have about 60% of the stocks in the green so far. Seeing communication services lag here a little bit more of a defensive play this morning with utilities, consumer discretionary in some respects. As well as energy actually catching a little bit of a bid here. You kind of talked about the energy markets as well as some of these other markets here, just seeing a lot of gyration as we kind of prepare for this week. But overall, if you're looking at the intraday levels that I'm really kind of focusing on here, obviously 6,400, that's going to be very key. But if we're able to break above that, 6,430 to the upside could be your next area of significant resistance here. And to the downside, if we do see a breakdown, 6,370 is going to be your first area of support, and then below that, 6,350 here. If we have an inside type of day in preparation for tomorrow, I would not be too surprised here. But what I did see earlier this morning that we have to keep on the radar, we did have the volatility index, or the VIX, actually up, as well as stocks up. And that's something that only happens around 20% of the time. So if that's going to be a trend that does continue for the remainder of the day, kind of keep your eye out on that, because that will, we usually do see a little bit of a re-rating. Either equity is moving lower as volatility moves higher, and or volatility crushing. And the path of least resistance right now when it comes to the VIX is actually higher rather than lower. So overall, good morning when it comes to the markets, but we just need to be able to hold these levels and not really stay within this range for too much, or even see any type of breakdown here below that 6,350 level.
Yeah, I mean, we're certainly due for an eventful week. There's no doubt about that. And we will watch the VIX closely. Thank you for that. Soybeans in focus. Tell us a little bit about the big move in the story there.
Yeah, obviously we saw President Trump overnight kind of tweeting about trying to see China quadrupling their soybean orders here. And that's actually something that probably a lot of people really do not follow. But if you look at the Trump administration, the first one around, the soybean trade, if you will, or the soybean deal between China was actually that first major signal that a deal was going to be done. So this is something to kind of keep on your radar. It would be very hard pressed for China to really try to ramp up its soybean orders at this point in time. They have looked at other suppliers like South America, especially if you're looking at Argentina and Brazil, which is why soybean prices itself have been continuing to move lower here. But what's actually very interesting is two areas. If we're looking at a stock that actually has a significant amount of exposure when it comes to agricultural products, especially soybeans, ADM, Archer Daniel Midland, could be a potential beneficiary of this if we do see some form of a deal coming across the wire. Now, ADM has had some internal fundamental issues, but we have actually seen a pretty decent bid off the lows here. And the last time, if you're looking at the first Trump administration, once we did have a deal inked, especially in the agricultural front, we saw a lot of these stocks actually aggressively moving to the upside, as well as soybean itself. So not a story that a lot of people follow, but once again, could be a potential signal here, Nicole, that a broader deal for China could be had if President Trump's able to kind of get this one little area that he obviously has a very big passion for. If he can get this one over the finish line and maybe create a little bit more of an agricultural framework for China moving forward here.
Okay, thank you so much, Kevin Green. Appreciate the update there.